Please turn up the volume for this. There's a lot of talk these days about the potential dangers posed by AI. But here's the thing. AI is already being abused to harass and humiliate women right now. Largely, it's through the use of deepfake porn videos. According to one study, 96% of non-consensual pornographic AI videos target women, and they are spreading at an alarming rate. It is an experience our next guest is unfortunately all too familiar with. I want to bring in former DHS disinformation expert Nina Jankowicz. She is now vice president at the Center for Information Resistance and author of the book, How to Be a Woman Online, Surviving Abuse and Harassment and How to Fight Back. Thank you so much for being here. This is such important information. You were the victim of pornographic deepfakes, not once, but multiple times. Tell us what that experience was like.
Well, you know, Stephanie, ironically, it's not the worst thing that I have experienced in the last 2 years. It's probably not in the top 10, but for many other women, it's going to be life-altering, right? I've been in the public eye. I've had a national hate and harassment campaign against me that's meant to push me out of public life. I'm not going to let that happen. But one of the reasons that I'm speaking up about this experience is that I think it's important to recognize just how commonplace this is, not just for women in public life, but for women who are just normal citizens, and more worryingly, for young girls in middle and high school whose classmates are making these images of them right now. We're heading into a really big election year, as everybody knows, and I'm worried that with the democratization of generative AI, you can make these images on your phone. We're going to be seeing a lot more deepfake pornography, unleashed against women in public life who are running for office, who are taking up official positions as we head into 2024. And 2 billion people are voting around the world this year.
You spend a lot of time in these deepfake forums. Who is making these videos and why are they doing it?
Well, you know, what's interesting is they're very concerned about keeping their own privacy safe, but they don't really care very much about the privacy of women's intimate lives, right? These are, I think, in my opinion, they're men. They're likely middle to higher income men because they have access to technology like computers, high internet connections, high-speed internet connections, the software that they need to edit and manipulate these videos. And they spend a lot of time teaching themselves to do it. And the idea there, although they might couch it in self-expression and creativity, is to humiliate women. It's to push women like me out of public life. And I can tell you that, you know, in one of the deepfake porn videos that I'm depicted in, it's me, Greta Thunberg, and Hillary Clinton. Now, why would those folks all appear together in a deepfake porn video? These people who are, you know, the bête noirs of some folks on the right and other factions of society. Again, it's to humiliate people like us who have the temerity to speak out. And this has a democratic effect. It has a follow-on effect, not just on women in public life today, but on those who might come after us. They're going to weigh their options and say, why should I run for office? Why should I get involved in the school board? Why should I speak out about my beliefs when that might get me depicted in a pornographic video for all my friends and family and millions of other people online to see?
You got to be some kind of twisted soul to spend your time doing that. But you know what the government is doing? Almost nothing. If they are sitting on the sidelines and doing very little to address this kind of abuse, who can do something?
Well, you know, there have been a number of states that have outlawed the spread of deepfake pornography, the amplification of it. Virginia, California are among them. But unfortunately, there is no federal law that prohibits the distribution of deepfake pornography or the creation of deepfake pornography. There are a couple of bills pending in Congress right now, but we all know how much Congress has gotten done this year. I would love to see one of those bills passed, and I would hope that not only does it enable victims of deepfake pornographic abuse to launch civil suits against those that create these videos, but also potentially criminalize the videos as well. Because if we're not going to criminalize the creation of something that, you know, depicts a person in extremely intimate acts, then what is the law there for? At this point, you have to, if you're a victim of deepfake pornography, you have to be able to identify the perpetrator, and that's really, really difficult if you don't have the means. I don't think that targets of this should be left to defend themselves. I think we should have some sort of criminal statute in order to protect the women, the many women that this is happening to. And I should also add, Stephanie, that it's not just something that's affecting Democratic women. This is across the board. You can search. There's deep fakes of Melania Trump and Ivanka Trump on there, as well as Nancy Pelosi and many others.